AITA for getting into a fight with my father's bride at their wedding? Trigger warning. I'm going to give a bit of backstory because without it the story won't make sense. I will also be changing the name of everyone involved. My mother was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer and lost her battle 8 months later. For months after my mother's passing, my father started dating, and 6 months after my mother's passing he met his now wife, Karen, 65F. 2 of my siblings were 100% against this, but me, 19F, and my 2 other siblings were trying to be open-minded. For my siblings' words, I was the most open and tried the hardest to make Karen feel comfortable. I was the first person to meet her, and she seemed nice enough. I asked about her kids and life and tried my best to bond. My father and Karen had also gotten into many fights due to my father answer phone calls from me after I got out of surgery just in the first few months of dating. A short 7 months later, they were engaged. They announced it on Mom's favorite holiday and 6 days before my mom and dad's 30th anniversary. And no one was happy about this, and it was an extremely uncomfortable announcement. I had been told he was going to do this a few months before, and I stressed that I thought it was too fast. None of the other siblings were warned, and my dad said, "If you have a problem with it, that's your problem." After this engagement, Karen became extremely withdrawn and rude. I still tried my best, along with 2 of my other siblings and my brother's fiancé. I will be giving them names as they are the only important siblings. Brother, 27 Christian, sister, 26 Jenna, sister-in-law, 24 Taylor. A lot of other minor things happened, but if I go into everything this will be 12 pages long. Fast forward to the wedding, I had been seeing a therapist for a few months and my mental health was at an all-time low. I had unliving thoughts and my therapist was extremely worried for my safety, going as far as to tell me to go to the hospital, but when I told her no, asking for Jenna's number so she can check in on me. I was with Jenna the day of the wedding and she could see how bad of a time I was having. I couldn't stop shaking, picking, and every time I tried to talk I would start to cry. She told me that it wouldn't be in my best interests to go to the wedding and could potentially ruin the big day for my dad. I texted my dad crying and apologizing, telling him I just couldn't come to the ceremony, but I would come to the reception. Keep in mind Mother hasn't been dead that long and seeing him give his vows to another woman would have killed me. I kept to my promise and came to the reception. I walked in and greeted my dad with a hug, and as Karen was speaking to other guests entering, I flashed a smile and walked to my aunt. My aunt was looking at a picture of my mother and I hugged her and began to break down. After composing myself, I went to my seat and enjoyed the event. Right before dinner, speeches were given, and again I thought I was going to lose it. At some point, I made my way to the bathroom and confided in my oldest sister that I wanted to go home and no longer wanted to be there. As those words left my mouth, Karen's best friend / maid of honor walked on and glared at me. I thought nothing of this and went back to my seat. Eventually, I was okay and having a good time with family. At the end of the night, I went to hug my dad goodbye and say goodbye to Karen. When I walked up to him, he told me that I needed to apologize to Karen for not coming to the wedding. It hurt her feelings. I understood this, and it wasn't my intention to hurt her, so I went over to her and asked if I could have a second to talk. I had 3 bags of candy and was on a high. I barely got my apology out before she began to dig into me. She went on and on for 10 minutes about how I'm ungrateful, immature, and disrespectful. How I hurt my dad, and after everything he's done for me, I'm in the wrong. She explained that he doesn't have to try and maintain a good relationship with me or care about my feeling. He's an engineer, and they just don't work like that. She told me that I, along with the 2 unnamed siblings, are the worst and have never tried to make her feel like a part of the family. I started crying and told her we aren't going to do this right now. I have candy and she just got married. This isn't the place or time. She continued on and kept yelling at me and told me to be careful what I say. Me, talking shit in the bathroom got back to her. My father had entered this conversation 3 different times, and every time he did I shot him a look of anger and sadness. A look that yelled, "I'm in distress." Jenna also entered the conversation and saw the look on my face. She hadn't heard anything and assumed I was giving her the dirty look. I broke off the conversation and walked to Christian after I could finally get my feet to work. When I made my way over, I was now fuming and ended up entering a conversation where Karen's brother was bad-mouthing my other brother to Christian. I grabbed Christian and told him we had to leave now. I made my out of the venue and broke down. I explained everything to Christian and Taylor, as I was staying with them that night, and I'm extremely close to them both. When I was doing this, the cameraman for the wedding was watching. I had a hard night full of tears and couldn't think about anything else. I went no contact with my dad for 3 months and then ripped him a new one when he blamed it all on me. I told him to talk to his wife and figure out what happened, but I'm not apologizing. It has now been a year, and I still do not have a relationship with either of them. Karen has never said anything to me and never will. I went to my therapist with my dad, and after him being told repeatedly to do this with me and not bring up Karen, the first thing he did was bring her up and tell me I had to get over it. So am I the a-hole for not only the argument, but also cutting them off?